I am so partial to the woman that we're about to discuss. She means so much to me. Literally the woman I went to college and was becoming and had no idea, right? Obviously, different trajectory. Nevertheless, I want to discuss Mary Church Terrell. Now, I'm saying Terrell like Terrell Owens, the football player, but it could very well be Terrell. Okay, so let me just say that tomato Terrell. Let me I'm excited. Let me start from the beginning. So, part of what is inspiring is about her story is that she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Right? So many times you hear about blacks and how they came up, and it's always a struggle. Her father was the South's first black millionaire. Now, of course, he had a white father, but still, especially at that time, maybe in 2022, we're talking about biracial people being their own group, but definitely that qualified you as a black man and for all the burdens that came with being a black man. And her mother was also very well to do. Her mother owned a beauty salon when most women were not owning businesses. So you have Mary Eliza Church, right? She did something that many women did not do, and that was take a gentleman's course. So what is that? A ladies' course in college, like once you get to college, was 2 years. So think junior college, think community college, think associate's degree. And a gentleman's course was a 4-year program. So think bachelor's degree, right? And this is why we call her the first black woman to ever get a college degree, Mary Church Terrell. This is a woman. When you can pick up the phone to call your girl and she's Ida B. Wells, when you can pick up the phone to call your girl and it's Susan B. Anthony, when you can say, all right, I'm gonna holler at my mentor about it, and it's Harriet Tubman. That's it. You are just, cue the Whitney Houston song, I'm every woman, it's all in me. Just a beautiful heart. What is important to mention about her ancestry, right? Because her grandmother was biracial on her maternal side, and then her father was, so basically her mother is something like Beyonce, Tina Knowles, and then her father is, just straight up biracial. So the way that she came out was white passing. So she didn't allow like anybody to just, decide that she was white or anything, but definitely when people, sorry, I'm getting a lot of notifications and I'm just kind of like getting them off of the phone so I can see correctly. But definitely when she was introduced into spaces, like when she would go to college, people assumed that she was white, and she used her ability to be like just undetectably black, to being white passing, passé blanc. She used that as an opportunity to be a liaison between the two communities, between black people and white people. So you just have her, hey Alexa, play We Be Clubbin', because Mary Church was just a super founder of so many clubs and so many organizations that still exist today. You have her as a founding member of the NAACP and of the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs. It was NACW at first, and then in 1914 it changed to NACW Clubs, right? And Harriet Tubman was one of the founders of that club as well, and Ida B. Wells was as well. And so you have in Mary Church Terrell a woman who was mentoring the women who became the sorority of Delta Sigma Theta, right? She's already, she's older than them, right? Not necessarily just like grown or whatever, but she's older than them. So she's the mentor to the founders. I had to contain myself. She was a mentor, so much so that she co-penned the oath that you take as a Delta. And of course, they made her an honorary Delta Alpha chapter, Howard University. Anyhow, she just spread so much awareness. She was there for Ida B. Wells and all of her anti-lynching campaign. Mary Church Terrell was very powerful. I don't want to ruin my makeup. Hey, babe. So she was very powerful in that she had something she would say called lifting as we climb. Hers was a belief that if we just become a more educated group of people, become a more, if there was more community activism, then, we can defeat these, teachings of racism and these beliefs about our inherent inferiority. So we can basically lift our people as we achieve ourselves. So she's also, really one of the pioneers of Black excellence. Even, so her dad, part of the reason her dad was the first millionaire, Brian, please close the door. Part of the reason that her dad was the first millionaire, Black millionaire in the South, is because he worked in real estate. In a minute. Okay. He was basically, yellow fever had broken. Remember I said yellow fever is what took out Ida B. Wells' parents and her youngest sibling, who was an infant. Yellow fever had torn up Memphis, Tennessee, and so people were leaving Memphis, Tennessee. So he took that as an opportunity to then purchase up a bunch of land and properties in Memphis. And then, of course, when people began to repopulate Memphis, cashed out, right? So her family was part of the Black Boule, Black elite, and really just the movers and shakers of things that still exist today. It's one thing to be a founding member of Delta Sigma Theta and be remembered for 100 years. It's a whole nother thing to be the mentor of those founders. The reason why her sincerity moves me so much, because I believe I was talking about Alpha Kappa Alpha in another video, right? So you had a group of women in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated who were very much given to being light-skinned and being passé blancs and being these people who didn't look like me, right? Who were not phenotypically discernibly as Black. Maybe some of them, but it was a big deal to be a part of the Blue Vein Society, where your blue veins show up on your skin and things like this. And here you have Mary Church Terrell, born white passing. You can't tell her from a white person, and she was already on colorism. Part of the reason there was that separation, because you have, I need you not to make that noise, please. Part of the reason that you have similar founders from Alpha Kappa Alpha who ended up founding DST or Delta Sigma Theta is because you had women who were pro-colorism, and then you had the women who were not. And for her to sit there in her privilege in the early 1900s and choose her sisters. Yeah. That's a whole lot of holiness. That's a whole lot of righteousness. That's a whole lot of sincerity. So, I remember being such an activist when I was, in undergrad and having these KKK death threats because of my grassroots activism and the things that I was into. And learning about Mary Church Terrell, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I felt so affirmed and confident in learning about her and her legacy and her story. So this is a woman who was so given to volunteer work. With a fierceness. So in as much support of Ida B. Wells as she was with Susan B. Anthony, right? Because Ida B. and Susan B. had a bit of a beef, right? Not Mary. Mary was diplomatic with both, and this is a woman who was obviously pro-woman before we even got the term pro-woman. we can call her a woman suffragette, but so many of her values are still our values today. So you have in feminists, right? First, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, where the fourth wave looks nothing like the first or the second, and you're just like, huh? What is this? But Mary Church Terrell, if you look at the things that she wrote and the things that she said, very much still in step with, especially the African American brand of womanism, right? We're not in competition with men. We're not trying to be men. We're not trying to blur lines. It really is about equality. So she is one of my faves. I think that's pretty obvious. And let me know who your Black History fave is. If you have one, if you have a hidden figure or not so hidden figure who is